Hey, welcome back to day 24, I believe, of Project Me. It's been, I think, 2 days since last uploaded, maybe 3, hopefully just 2. But in any case, just got some stuff to go over today, a brief daily summary before getting into the main topic for today. And I'm going to spoil tomorrow's topic as well because it's something I'd like to dedicate some thought to. And then get on to, if we have time, Daily Stoic with Ryan Holiday, and lastly some gratitude. I've actually got 4 things, or rather people, that I'm grateful for today, so hopefully making up for those times where I was only able to do 2. But yeah, so let's jump right into it. So today, set my alarm for 7:30, got out of bed maybe 8:30, 8:40. Yeah, it's something I'm actually very disappointed in myself about. And I spoke to some people about it today, and they're like, "Oh, I only got out of bed at 9, or I only got out of bed at 9:30, so you did really well." And it's like, yes, that's true in comparison, maybe, but our lives are different. I can't compare myself to you. You shouldn't compare yourself to me. That's how it should be. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people. And so, it's something that I am not happy about myself, so it's something I need to change. And there's no sense in looking at other people who wake up at 5 and just go, why can't I do that? I need to find reason myself to get, I need to find the reason, the purpose to get me out of bed in the morning. And we've spoken about it before, and we'll probably continue to speak about it for some time to come. But I'm optimistic that one of these days I will get out of bed when I set my alarm to get out of bed. But in any case, we move on. Got good torts work done today in the morning before moving on to my international relations lecture, before going to the other campus, the law campus. And there I met up with a friend. We'll just call him F. Went for a coffee. And then came back in time for the criminal law lecture. And after criminal law, busy day. Criminal law went to a sort of like get-together, a think tank get-together, where we had the head of a local think tank come in and give us a talk about relations in Asia, between New Zealand and Asia, and where things might be headed, what New Zealand needs to do to improve its situation, things like that. I had to leave early because we had our local MP for the area come in. I helped organise this talk. She gave a roundtable discussion with a group of students for the Politics Society, which I help run at the university. So I left early, left the Asia New Zealand thing to go to the other thing. So got there a bit late, but just the way it is sometimes when you're busy, right? And yeah, and then came home, had a great chat with one of my flatmates, ate dinner, and here I am now, ready to go to bed. Haven't really done that much schoolwork today, which is a bit of a shame. But, it's hard sometimes, especially when you're so busy. So I don't want to beat myself up about it, but tomorrow I need to crack onto it, as it were. And hopefully I should have time. Yeah, got a bit going on tomorrow, but we should have time. I hope to get some work done if I head to campus late in the evening. Yeah, but in any case, let's get right into, already 4 minutes in. Oh my goodness, I spent way too much time talking about my day. Just gonna get right into it. So, the topic I wanted to talk about was the coffee I had with person F. And it's funny because F is very much a reflection of me as a person. So it was really interesting meeting and chatting with him. I mean, obviously we have our differences, different backgrounds. He was raised in the UK and moved to New Zealand. I was born in the States and moved to New Zealand, of course. But yeah, different factors, of course, shaping who we came to be, but very similar personalities, I would say. I mean, he might be a little bit more capable at bringing his own energy into the room, for example, and raising the energy of his personality. But by and large, I think we're very similar. And so meeting him and speaking to him was very much sort of like looking in the mirror to some extent. It's very interesting. And I would give a lot of money actually to see or to understand what he thinks of me, to see his perception of me. I'm very curious to hear that, actually. But yeah, the impression I got, I mean, he's a very good guy, very cool, really enjoyed speaking to him. But the impression I got of him was actually a little bit, and this is not to disrespect him at all, I'll be very clear about that. I'm using it for my own purposes. And that'll be clear in a second as well, if that sounds bad. He came off to me as a little bit condescending. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm wondering if that's how I appear to other people as well. If I appear as condescending to other people, if that's their impression of me. And so now I'm wondering, one, am I condescending to other people? And two, if I am, what can I do? How can I fix it? Or how can I bridge the gap between appearing condescending and not being condescending? Because I certainly don't try to be condescending. In most cases, at least. In some cases, if there's someone who I have a pretty good experience of what they're like and I have no interest in being around them, then I will act more aloof, in which case I can understand it being condescending. But with most people, I feel that I'm very open to speaking with them, at least until they show me that I shouldn't, until they give me a red flag, as the term goes. But yeah, now I'm just wondering, what if I appear as condescending to other people? How can I tell? And it's not the first time. I've been teased before by some friends, for example, in the halls of residence last year, that I'm maybe arrogant or egotistical, have a high opinion of myself. It's very tricky territory because it's something I try really hard to suppress, I don't want to appear high and mighty. And yet, and because of that, because I don't want to appear that way, I really, crack onto myself with it. I really try hard not to do that. I try to be quite humble. Very conscious effort. It's almost like I'm fighting fire or fighting water with fire, So that leads to its own problems, but just something I'm grappling with right now, which I'm not quite sure how to feel about. And hopefully over the next few days, as I reflect on it and think on it a bit more, it'll become clearer to me how I feel about this. But it does trouble me that I might appear condescending. And of course, if you step back and look at this objectively, I'm basing this whole thought process in my head on essentially meeting someone I think is very similar to me and my impression of that person. So objectively, there's good cause to say there's no grounds here at all for you thinking that you might be condescending. But I think it's important to consider the possibility. I don't want to be blind and shut it out completely, because there's a very good chance that I might be condescending. And so I need to walk that fine line. But it was interesting. I really had a good time in that conversation because it's someone who's very much on my wavelength, especially when it comes to social situations. We're both law students, for example, and this isn't the rule for law students, but we both spoke about how in social situations we try to keep ourselves very aloof. And he said he got that impression from me, and I asked him what gave it away, and he said the eyes, whatever that means. But I suspect that's because I have strong eye contact, and so I tend to, no one's told me this, but I suspect they might see it this way, as in like staring into their soul. I'm trying to read people all the time, which is true. And he understood that as keeping myself aloof, which is also true. I like to keep myself at a distance from most people. Defense mechanism, maybe. Or maybe I just don't vibe with people, It's hard to know, and I need to think on it more, but it's not something that's immediately pressing, so there's no reason to think on it, at the moment at least. So we'll see where that goes, where that line of thought goes. But no, really good conversation with F. Really, in some ways enlightening, because it does make me think about, how I'm perceived and how I perceive others. And just how someone who's going through very similar, wannabe professional wannabe professional. Just someone who goes through other wannabe professional struggles. It's nice to feel seen by someone else like that who has similar problems. Very long-winded way of saying that, so I apologise for not being eloquent there. But in any case, I do just want to share a win as well that I had today. The politics board, the politics society board that I'm a part of, the executive, we're looking to organise a event between one of our government ministers and a prominent member of parliament here in New Zealand, and we'd like to host a debate at the university. And the topic is up for grabs. We'll decide on that later, but I've been asked to moderate it, which would be a really cool opportunity. It's a chance to step up as a second year student and interact with both the government and the opposition. Two very important roles in our society, and talk about the issues that matter for New Zealanders, and specifically students, because it's a university debate. So I'm actually really looking forward to that, although I will say it is nerve-wracking, because I have a lot of gripes. I have a lot of self-doubt about the way I communicate myself, and it's not so bad in these videos because I can take my time. But man, I've spoken about this before, I'll say it again. In social situations, I speak really quick because I'm so scared of being cut off because of bad experiences in my past, whatever. But I need to remember that first of all, when I moderate this discussion, I need to remember that no one's going to cut me off. I have a voice. I have important things to say as well. So I need to trust in myself that what I have to say has value, and there's no reason in speeding up to get that value out any faster. If anything, slowing down will emphasize it, right? So that's something I very much need to remember. But that's a recent win, being asked to moderate that possible discussion and debate. Really looking forward to that, actually, and it's something I would consider a feat and a win for myself. It's not every day you get to do that, especially with two high-ranking members of society like that. So really, really cool. But in any case, that's it for self-reflection today. We don't have time for the Daily Stoic, and that's okay. So we're just going to move straight on to gratitude. So first of all, I am grateful for F. Today was my first time properly meeting him and having a conversation with him. Really cool guy. I mean, despite what I said about him appearing a bit condescending, I'm willing to look past that because he's just, I think he's a cool guy to know. I don't mean that in a self-serving way, but I think he's just cool. It's nice to have someone like him in my life. Even if I may not see him often, even if I may not talk to him often, I think he's cool to have around. And enlightening as well, given our conversation. Second of all, I am grateful to Mum and Dad. They left yesterday to go back home, but I had a lovely weekend with them, eating the food that they bought me. So thank you, Mum and Dad, for that. Always really nice to see you. And it'll be some time before I see you again, but really grateful for them. I don't know why I'm switching between the first and would it be sixth person? Third person? It doesn't matter. We're moving on. As with most native languages, you don't tend to think about the grammar because it just comes naturally. So when you are, if someone were to ask me about English grammar, unless it's like punctuation, I'm not sure I could. But ask me about French or Spanish grammar and I could tell you. So it's really odd. But anyways, off the point. Third point is grateful to my parents' friends, Jay and R. I went over to their place on Sunday and we got takeout, just had a grand time with them. Jay is Scottish. He is so funny. Just a real crack-up guy, genuinely. And he got a citizenship, actually, the other week. And he considers himself, forgive me, late at night, tongue is a bit all over the place. He considers himself to be an atheist and a non-royalist, right? And so when he got his New Zealand citizenship, he had to choose between swearing fealty or swearing an oath to God or the king. And so you can imagine someone who's atheist, doesn't believe in God, or an anti-royalist who doesn't care for the king, that swearing an oath is a little bit odd. So anyways, I had good fun teasing him about that. I mean, I asked him if he was ready to fight for king and country because he chose the king at the end of the day, but quite funny. But really, really glad to be around them. They're so wonderful. They've said I'm welcome around anytime. So really grateful for them. And fourth person, my friend D, he's the one who approached me today about moderating the panel between the government officials and opposition officials. So really grateful for him for thinking of me and keeping me in mind. Really nice of him. So grateful for all that. That's it for me, wherever you are. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yeah, take care. Honestly, take care.